We're pretty well cooking on all burners here on the Common Sense Club. Again, Mark the Freedom Poet saying hello to our good listeners today. We have an interesting guest with us today about, in Nebraska, they've decided to reroute the Keystone Pipeline so it doesn't have to go through those ecologically threatened sand hills. Well, anyway, we have a man of wisdom, Matt Koch of the Partnership to Fuel America. He's going to talk about what the reroute of the Keystone Pipeline might mean for the future of the project. Welcome, Matt. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Did I say your last name right, sir?
It's actually pronounced Cook, but it happens all the time, and people often ask if I'm related to that family. That's a number of good conservatives who are involved in a lot of good conservative causes, and actually I'm not. But my father's a retired court reporter living in upstate New York, and we're doing just fine.
Well, that's great. Anyway, very happy to hear that it looks like Nebraska solved their problems with sand. And does it look like we're going to have this Obama administration allow this thing to pass?
I hope so. I'm it's been a long process. As you mentioned, Nebraska's just finished their review and their very extensive process of reevaluating and working with TransCanada to make the reroute make sense for the people in that state. There's been 5 years of review of this project already, and the Obama administration itself had said in 2011 that this project would have potential minimal impact to the environment. So the holdup now, I think, still remains the politics around it. Hopefully, as they've indicated in the past, they'd be given a more thoughtful reason to look at and more thoughtful review and try to get this done. So. We're holding out for the best, but we need to keep talking about the benefits, and we need to keep up the pressure. There's a lot of people who are going to come to Washington over the next few weeks to try to protest and to try to get the administration to change their mind, and we know that they've been willing to do that in the past.
Unfortunately, so many of these ultra-green one world people who don't want American to have energy independence contributed to Obama's campaign. And, he hasn't denied the fact that he thought it would be good to have electricity rates go way up and some of this sort of stuff. And he's definitely surrounded by the extreme left of the green movement. But he has said some things. He's taken some credit for the increased supply of oil. He's kind of talked himself into a box with his last presidential run. So I don't know. How do you think it'll play out?
I'm really hoping that common sense will prevail. There's despite at times what's happening with this administration and their efforts by the left to try to stop some of this development that's happening, business is moving ahead, and there's people who understand, and there's a lot of common sense up in the northern part of this country right now, where there's a lot of development happening, and to tremendous benefit to North Dakota and Montana and places like that, as well as what we're seeing with shale gas development in places like Pennsylvania and Ohio and West Virginia, and newer finds in some of the parts of the traditional oil patch in Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, and whatnot. It's really doing tremendous things, and people are catching on. And to see the economic benefit and see the benefit, even if you believe that there should be, a lot more revenue coming into the government from taxes and things, here's an opportunity. The energy industry it can provide it. There's great opportunity for this growth in that sector, and it's happening. Some of it's happening, but if they take away and allow an unfettered some unfettered policies, it can grow even more. So that's where we're working to keep the pressure up to keep doing that.
Well, here's a little state of North Dakota. We're surprised by an increase in their tax revenues of $1 billion. A wonderful problem for a conservative state already. So, the thing is, energy independence would change the economics. America would never, ever have to worry about China passing them if we became truly energy independent. And the people that live in the patch, I actually lived in the radio station in Tioga for a few months and got to know so many of these wonderful, tough people out there. They really believe that if we were energy independent, we would have a thriving boom, unbridled, the dollar would become, again, the supreme currency on earth once again.
Yeah, I think you're right, and you're right. And living in North Dakota, every time I'm up there, and I love going up there because people are getting it, and you're seeing the benefits of a great economy, and you're suffering actually from some of the growing pains. But as you mentioned, they're good pains to have. When I travel around the rest of the country, people are asking all the time, "What's happening in North Dakota? What is going on up there? Can that be happening here?" And they're also starting to recognize that maybe they may not have the direct benefit of those jobs that you're seeing up in North Dakota, but they're starting to see the indirect benefits. They're starting to see the manufacturing upticks that are slightly happening in some areas that are enabling the suppliers to supply goods and services, not only to North Dakota and places like that, but also even up to Canada, where they're having their own economic boom around energy. But we're also seeing businesses and industry moving back from some places like India and China into Ohio and Pennsylvania, and those communities that suffered for so long. We're seeing steel mills come back and petrochemical companies reopen. That's a great story. But again, look at even globally what it means. It means, as you said, our dollar will start to improve. We'll start to see the different paradigms change, and not only what it means to the Middle East. Recently there's been some tremendous recognition of the impact that the changing oil spectrum is happening in the world, and the impact that's having in Iran. Because we can go to some of our allies and say, hey, you don't have to, we want you to continue the embargo from buying oil from Iran, and you don't have to, you don't have to be worried about where that oil is going to come from, because the supply has gotten bigger because the United States is producing that oil.
And look at natural gas. The prices actually went down during the Egypt uprising, and as we learn how to liquefy and have the facilities to export natural gas, I mean, we're totally self-sufficient on natural gas. It's like 4 times cheaper than Japan. This is a real window looking at natural gas that is unaffected by international events, because what? We are self-sufficient. Same way with food. America is self-sufficient. While people are spending a day's wage to get something to eat in some parts of Africa or Haiti or what have you, we still have $3 Cheerios, where we can, natural gas can show us where we can go with the whole petrochemical industry and coal as well.
Exactly. Coal, we're still what people consider the OPEC of coal, and we, the policies that are in place right now are preventing us from using more of it. We have a lot of concerns about that because it's cheap and it's abundant, and frankly, we can figure out ways to use it, and we have been using it more efficiently and more cleanly, and we exported more of that than we ever have in the world this last year than we have, because there's places around the world that need cheap, abundant energy, and they're growing, and their economies are growing, and they want it, and we shouldn't look past that.
We've come up to the end of this segment. I want to thank Matt Koch of the Partnership to Fuel America for some really balanced and sensible input. Thank you. Come on, Nebraska. Come on, federal government. Let's ramp up energy independence. We're going to be back with the Scott Hennen Show in just a little bit. This is Mark the Freedom Poet saying, how about energy independence?